Welcome to Pigeon River Farm, doing farming right. I'm Robert Brown, the owner of Pigeon River Farm. Thank you for viewing. Well, good evening. In tonight's episode, we're going to talk about a new bale handling system we have for the farm for winter time. It's an item called a bale unraveler, a bale unroller, a couple different terms for it. It is a product that we're planning to get a lot of use out of. I received it just early winter, actually in a snowstorm. Unloaded it off the truck, and we're going to try something totally different this year than we had in the past. It is a little bit work to hook up. You have to back in squarely onto the bale. You have to make sure that you are centered once you're square to the bale. And then you lift it up and you're going to be taking it out to the pasture. So we'll probably get going on going out to the pasture.
It is car cold.
We'll get through the gate, keeping the dogs out of the way, and dragging out. I do the 5 foot wide by 6 foot tall bales. So it works really good, but it only lifts so high, or I should say the tractor only allows it to be lifted so high. It is designed to work with the 4 foot wide bales by 6, and then the 4 foot or 5 foot wide by 6 foot bales. And we predominantly work in the 6 foot realm. We do buy some in, and I do have some custom hanging done that way. The next thing is we got to make it down to, my plans is put it on to the east pasture, and I got to run the gauntlet. The cattle are fully aware of equipment, and they hear it running, and they know it's time to start taking advantage of it. There's got to be hay coming our way. We have a little, I never did a video on it, but something kind of interesting. We have a cow here we call Little-moo. It was a rescue cow. She's now pregnant. She's getting a little over 2 years old. And she is unique among the herd I have because she was raised in the shop with the dogs until she was old enough, healthy enough to get out into a calf hut and ultimately out into the pasture with the animals. So she is incredibly friendly, and of course has no fear of anything, and takes advantage of the bale. It's kind of humorous. The other cattle are kind of, well, what's exactly going on? But she is tracking directly behind it. Then we get out to the pasture, and of course she's the first one on the scene. This is a commonality trying to go through the gates or wherever I'm at. And we call her Little-moo. That's her nickname. She's not so little anymore, but she's still runty because she didn't get raised on mother's milk. It's the only one I have here that situation happened. Anyway, so she was very curious and had a dig into the bale here, and as I was in the process of getting the strings off it, and that's something I'm now learning, have to get my timing really good on, because prior when we were using a bunk wagon I wouldn't have the challenge. I'd have it all done ahead of time and I'd take it out. Well, now I can't take it off ahead of time, so I need to take the springs off when I'm out in the pasture. So I got the cattle challenges that I have to deal with. And that means I can't let them catch up to me. The dogs sent Little-moo a pack in there. She's back off the camera view. And I had to hurry up and get the strings off here because the rest of the herd is heading this way. So you got to do it that's the only, I'd say the only downside I see with the whole thing is having to work under a little bit of pressure if the cattle are out there. And during the winter time they have access to all of the acreage. It's completely wide open. We don't fence, we don't restrict fencing during the winter time. So as soon as they see the tractor, they're down there. One of the things that I did learn relatively early on with the bale unroller is if the bale is at all sticky inside, either it was a little bit of moisture on it, that it's had a tendency to have some frost in it. And I'm also going to change my baling technique. I learned an awful lot with unrolling these bales. But one of the things I actually noticed, and you'll think might kind of clever here, is the cattle themselves have become a big help. They got the bale won't unravel, so I let in this case here, I let the bull catch up to it. And our big breeder bull here, he's helping out. and I'm just trying to stay far enough ahead. So where the bale wasn't rolling, you see for a moment there, it's not rolling again, and he's in there, he's whacking on it, and we're gonna get her to roll here any moment, and there we go. So she's rolling again. So them are some of the things. I'm just learning the techniques of what it takes to get this thing to work. So there's some challenges. One is going to be the side pressure you put on the bale. And there's another picture of Little-moo going in wide open. I'm just getting ready to go here, and I was going to get out and get the bale unstuck, and she came along and rescued the situation. So I guess I'm going to use these longhorned animals as integral part. Speed is something we're trying to learn. Two logics. One is, you can see here, I'm going nice and slow, unrolling very gently. But I did notice sometimes when it does stick, a little greater speed will have a tendency to help. So it does an excellent job of dispersing the hay. If I get the bale to unroll, I can guarantee next year I will use a different methodology with my baling. I think I know where the guilty party is. See, normally we never have to deal with this. It puts on a nice, it goes out typically about, maybe 300 feet. And so it nicely disperses. It's going to allow the manure to get spread out. Early analysis here, after about 30 bales that I've run through it, is the cattle are eating everything. It's working better than I actually had envisioned. So it's something I'm pretty darn impressed with, at least early on here. Extra work compared to using a bunk wagon or bale feeding with a fence line approach. Our farm doesn't lend itself real well to that. I have tried it, mixed results, and it's a great system, but the way our fencing system works out, it isn't really conducive. This, I think, is going to make a big difference for our fertilizing of the farm, and that's one of the things that we're highly sensitive of the fertilizer cost this year. Even though we don't bring in much commercial fertilizer or organic commercial fertilizer, I want to get as much manure out during the winter time and urine onto them pastures as I can, and it looks like this is the secret. So it works really good. I said the only challenge I'm really having here is like an example here where the bale will not turn. I just cannot get it to turn. I tried, the cattle bumped on it a couple times even, and finally I just give up and I released it. But I went and checked it later, and there was nothing there. They ate that the same as everything else. But it's a relatively small, like a 5 or 6 foot round. This is around 2 feet. So it's a center, so the volume isn't that great. And they did a great job of consuming it all. So that has been a little bit of a challenge with it. I'm sure as I get better with the baling techniques and get better at utilizing the techniques, we'll have less and less that occur. You can see here I have some missed areas. Here again, that's where the bale was sliding, and there is a little variance in consistency the way it comes off the bale while I'm unrolling it. And I think that's as much of a condition of the bale itself as it is the pasture conditions. I did notice once we get into deeper snow, it was definitely hard. I'm curious to find if we would get a heavy snowpack. We got about maybe around a foot, a little over a foot out there. So it's not excessive. You can see here we did have a lot of slippage. That's the areas where there's no hay. The cattle didn't eat that yet. I was just applying the hay. And they will eat this up. So I normally figure with the herd size I have right now, I'm going to go through a bale about every 1.5 days. So I put about a week's worth of hay out there. That's the other thing I want to see if there is any waste. So we're still in the R&D stages of this project. But time will tell. When I was on ground that didn't have snow on it, I didn't have any problem at all. It unrolled real easy. Because it wasn't the slipperiness of the snow. We had the traction of the exposed ground, and even if the bale was slightly stuck together. Now here's an example here. The cattle, this is before I put the bale out. They're still grazing. There's plenty of hay still out there, but when the snowpack comes in, they can't get access to it. So they'll still have this in the spring. We're doing a lot of stockpiling. We can allow them to work through it, but I got a lot of pregnant cows here, and I really hate to have them challenged with not getting adequate amount of feed. You don't need them stressed, especially with the extreme cold that we've had. So they do graze pretty well in the wintertime if you can provide hay for them. And I just thought I would share with everybody this new product, a new tool to me. I bought a commercial grade. It's not a little toy. It was not cheap. It wasn't terribly expensive. And I will be learning as time goes on here, and as I learn more, I will be more than happy to tell that information to everybody. Well, I thank you and have a most wonderful evening.